let's get through some of the NBA-centric rumors here in general. We'll start things off with Luka Doncic perhaps to the Sacramento Kings, which is contrary to what I'll talk about later in regards to the Sacramento Kings. Doesn't sound like a lot of players want to go to them. But the rumor with this is the Kings owner's son, Anil Ranadive, posted a picture on his Instagram story with Doncic. It's a picture from June 5th to be exact, so it wasn't like last night or anything like that, when the Kings leadership met with Doncic in Spain. But why is this going up on the story with 2 days left to the draft? Because this went up yesterday, and that's 2 days before the draft. Maybe this is a ploy here by Sacramento leadership and the son of the owner in particular, Vivek Ranadive, and maybe it is. I don't know, because when I get to a rumor later about some bad PR here for the Sacramento Kings in that a lot of top players don't want to go there, could make some sense in terms of why Anil posted that on his Instagram story. So Doncic has used the hang loose emoji several times since that photo was posted, by the way. So keep that in mind. Now, which team will draft Doncic? Be sure to hit me up in that reaction poll. Now, the whole hang loose emoji thing with Doncic and the Instagram story by Anil could all be coincidental here. I personally could see Doncic going number 2 to the Sacramento Kings. I don't see any real possibility he goes to the Phoenix Suns at number 1 overall. Rumors are rumors are rumors. You can believe in what you want to believe, and I still believe that there's a real possibility Doncic could be drafted by the Kings. Now, whether or not he actually stays on that team remains to be seen. So, which team will draft Luka Doncic? You got the Suns, Kings, Hawks, maybe the Mavs. Give me a like, a laughing face, a heart, and a wow face, respectively. And be sure to expand upon yourselves in terms of why you picked that team in the comments section. All right, next up, how about this? Mo Bamba refusing a workout with the Grizzlies. This coming from Jonathan Givney of ESPN, in that Bamba refused to work out for Memphis. Also refused to share his medical records with the team. Now, Bamba admitted he doesn't want to play for the Grizzlies. Appears he actually wants to go play for the Dallas Mavericks, whom select number 5 overall. The Grizzlies select at number 4 overall. Could this be kind of a Eli Manning situation here, where Mo Bamba goes to the Grizzlies and is like, dude, trade me. I don't want to be here. Send me to Dallas. I'm talking about Eli when he got drafted by the Chargers there way back when. So, hey, we could have one of those deals. Obviously not the first time a player has tried to prevent a team from drafting him. We've seen these kind of stories before. So we'll see what happens come draft night. Next up, the Raptors perhaps looking to trade into the draft, and guard Norman Powell perhaps at the center of all of this. Now, the Raptors are looking for a top 10 draft pick, according to reports. So Powell was signed to a 4-year, $42 million extension last fall. Did struggle last season, losing his starting position back in November. Kind of ironic, last fall he signed the extension and then in November loses his starting position. He's an appealing player despite his smaller role with Toronto, and could be the piece to allow the Raptors to get into the draft and get inside the top 10 there. So the Raptors also say, according to reports, that every player on the roster is available at the right price. I don't really know if I believe that wholeheartedly, but we had the same movie again with the Toronto Raptors. Great regular season, into the postseason, struggled mightily. All right? So, I mean, at this juncture, there is reason to believe that everything is on the table. There's also reason to believe that not everything is on the table with Toronto. So, it really depends on your opinion. And, of course, I want to hear your opinion here on the Cam Rogers Show presented by FanDuel. So, be sure to let me know what you think about the Raptors in general. Kind of been a laughingstock for the last few years, a punchline, if you will. So, there you go. You are indeed watching the Cam Rogers Show, presented by FanDuel. 19 members of the audience signed up for my private U.S. Open contest last week. Shout out to the winner right there. You see him at the top of the leaderboard. Joe Govea capturing the U.S. Open title, if you will. He had Brooks Koepka in his lineup, and I'm keeping the fun going. Sign up right now and message us or DM me on social media to challenge me this week in my private PGA Tour contest for this week's Travelers Championship in Cromwell, Connecticut. It's a good field. Jordan Spieth is there. Brooks Koepka is there. Rory McIlroy as well. So make a deposit, and you will instantly get a free, we're talking about free money, $10, FanDuel.com/chatsports. Use that promo code chatsports as well. And take me down. All right, next up on the list, how about the Wizards open to trading down in the draft? So the Wizards have the 15th overall pick, and apparently they are dangling that if a team takes on an expiring contract. And this would open up the roster, create some cap space for Washington. It allows them to kind of explore free agency a little more. Could involve Gortat. Watch out for him as a potential trade candidate. And the Wizards last season, fairly disappointing. They were the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference and didn't really do much in the postseason either. So definitely a team that needs to have a good draft in my eyes because of the salary cap situation that they're dealing with. So Washington, keep an eye on them for tomorrow night. All right, Sacramento Kings drafting Michael Porter Jr. So the Kings appear to be considering him, but you know how a phone works two ways. Porter may not be considering the Sacramento Kings. I'll talk about that later. But Mark Stein has said that the Kings are still weighing their options in terms of drafting Michael Porter Jr. The team attended an evaluation of Porter in Chicago on Friday. They were able to get more information in terms of Porter's back and the situation that's going on with that. Of course, he canceled his pro day recently because of the back injuries that he's been suffering from. Sacramento also considering Marvin Bagley and Luka Doncic, whom I talked about earlier in the program. So kind of a mystery with the Sacramento Kings right now. Now, in terms of raw talent, I don't think Michael Porter Jr. really is much of a mystery. I think he is a top 3 talent. I'm throwing up my heart. But be sure to hit me up in this reaction poll. Is Michael Porter Jr. a top 3 talent? Heart for yes, a like for no way. Now, there is the possibility that Michael Porter Jr. slides a bit, maybe even past the number 7 overall team, Chicago Bulls, and falls to the Cleveland Cavs. That's next up on the list here. And in terms of the Cavs, they could still get him if he's there at number 8 overall. So Porter was considered the top player in the draft class before this whole back injury situation. His evaluation overall has been positive. So I'm not going to buy too much into the whole, oh yeah, the back injury is kind of a problem and all of that. So as a person who suffers from tight back injuries all the time, yours truly, they can be finicky, but they can get better as well. So the chances of the Cavs getting MPJ at number 8 are slim. I think he either goes to the Kings, even against his wishes, or number 7 to the Chicago Bulls. Now, another thing worth monitoring in terms of the Cavs and the future for them in terms of the draft and going forward is, of course, LeBron James and the decision that he will eventually have to make. He has some 9 days to decide whether or not he will opt in or opt out of that player option with Cleveland. Now, if he opts out, he can still sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's certainly free to do that because he's a free agent, but also that brings in so many more fish, if you will, to the fray. So Cavs drafting Michael Porter Jr. would be a stunning turn of events if that happens, because I just don't think he falls that far. How about the Atlanta Hawks in on Luka Doncic? So this came in last night from Woj, whom reported that Doncic has moved to the forefront of Atlanta's internal conversation for that number 3 overall pick, also noting that Marvin Bagley III and Jaren Jackson Jr. are also under consideration. Now, Woj recently reported that the Mavs are in on Doncic at number 5 overall, but I did mention the Kings are in the running too. They're selecting at number 2. Of course, Doncic won the ACB championship with Real Madrid last night, was the EuroLeague's regular season and Final Four MVP as well. He's a slasher, spot-up shooter, can handle the ball too. So he's got a lot of talent, but is he worthy of a number 1 or number 2 overall pick? Remains to be seen. We'll see what the GMs of the NBA actually feel about that. All right, next up on the list here are the Orlando Magic torn on Trae Young and Colin Sexton. Apparently, it's razor thin between these two kids here. This, again, coming from Woj, saying that it could go either way in terms of where the Magic select with Young or Sexton, respectively. And Young, first Division I player to lead the nation in scoring and assists here. 27.4 points per game, 8.7 assists per game, and 4 40-point games. Unbelievable season there with the Sooners there, and of course we saw him in March Madness as well. Electric player. The Magic fans out there, at least judging by the YouTube commenters and the Facebook Live commenters, et cetera, seem to really buy into this whole Trae Young situation, and they would love to have him in Orlando. So maybe I'm leaning towards that. I mean, I mocked Trae Young recently to the Orlando Magic. I think makes a lot of sense. Colin Sexton, I think, falls a little bit compared to Trae and could go to the New York Knicks there. In fact, that's where I have him going in my recent mock draft, so something to bear in mind in regards to that. Who would you rather have? Trae Young, Colin Sexton? Give me a heart, give me a like, respectively, and be sure to let me know what you think. All right, folks, you guys are watching the Cam Rogers Show, presented by FanDuel. Get started with FanDuel, make a deposit, and you will instantly get a free $10. FanDuel.com/chatsports is the way to go. Use that promo code ChatSports. All right, next up here in terms of NBA rumors, are the Warriors going to buy a second-round pick? Well, that's the latest buzz out there. Now, the Warriors have purchased a second-round pick the last 2 years. 2017, they got a 35th overall selection from Chicago. They drafted Jordan Bell. 2016, purchased the 38th overall pick from the Milwaukee Bucks. That's when they drafted Patrick McCaw there. Now, both players drafted in those second rounds have contributed to the Warriors. So they're on some sort of trend, and we're talking about a Golden State team that obviously has to focus on its financials, right, with a lot of players about to get paid big-time money coming very soon. This is an important draft for Golden State in terms of depth and perimeter help and just kind of general roster buildup. Not necessarily looking for that high ceiling kind of guy. So maybe they buy in to that second round selection there and they get a guy that can contribute going forward. So we'll see what happens. All right, this came through last night. Kawhi Leonard reportedly met with Greg Popovich. So Popovich traveled to Southern California to meet with Leonard, and for weeks Popovich has been trying to set up a meeting with Kawhi, and Kawhi has been at the center of so many headlines. Of course, as you know, he reportedly is seeking a trade from San Antonio to the LA area, prefers the Lakers over the Clippers. He can also just play out the string here and be a free agent in 2019. That is an option. Another option is Kawhi can sign a 5-year, $219 million super maximum contract with the Spurs this summer. Now, does he want to do that? Up for debate. I don't think he does. I think he wants to go to LA, more specifically the Lakers. And yeah, there's some buzz out there that the Lakers and the Spurs and a trade with Kawhi is never going to happen. Well, let me tell you this. Mark Stein of the New York Times, coming up right here, said the Spurs don't want to trade with LA, but will if the deal is most beneficial for the team. Saying, quote, they're going to make the best trade they can if they have to. So if the best trade scenario is with the LA Lakers, the San Antonio Spurs are going to do it. So you heard me earlier on the show saying that don't write off Kawhi to the Lakers. And this isn't just me just saying this out of hot air. You guys know me enough. When I say things, I support them with concrete evidence. The evidence is Mark Stein, one of the better NBA insiders out there. He's saying that if the Spurs get a really good offer from the LA Lakers, in fact, the best offer among all the teams out there, they're going to trade Kawhi to LA. Everybody has a price, guys. Even if it's a blank check, if that's what the LA Lakers have to do, metaphorically speaking, of course, what's to think that the Spurs are not going to do that, right? So then if that happens, Kawhi goes to the Lakers, you got to monitor LeBron going to the Lakers, and you got to monitor Paul George going to the Lakers. And in a previous episode of the Cam Rogers Show presented by FanDuel, I have said that it is possible, financially speaking, to have Kawhi, LeBron, and Paul George all on the same squad. Now, LeBron's going to get paid. Paul George is not going to get the maximum contract in the scenario that I proposed here. It involves a Brandon Ingram trade straight up. You got to get rid of Luol Deng's contract as well. Julius Randle has to be out of the picture. So, of course, yes, there are factors and some variables here, but it's possible. And that could be the next big three in the NBA, as you see on your screen. Kawhi in the middle, LeBron on the right, and Paul George on the left. And in my eyes, that is a Golden State Warrior-killing team. A Houston Rocket-killing team. A team that can win the NBA title. And a team that will make the Eastern Conference an afterthought. They already kind of are. And the only reason they're not is because LeBron is still with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But if LeBron goes to the LA Lakers, Kawhi joins them, and Paul George too, who cares what happens in the Eastern Conference? The 76ers and the Boston Celtics will duke it out in a great 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals. One of those teams is going to go to the finals to take on the LA Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, or the Houston Rockets. And whatever happens in that finals, it's going to be a victory for the Western side of things. Warriors, Rockets, Lakers, whatever the case. Sorry, 76ers. Sorry, Boston Celtics. That's just the reality. Now, that's if Kawhi goes to the Lakers, and that's if LeBron and Paul George join him alongside. So it's possible. We shall see. All right, big-time report here. So apparently only Marvin Bagley III, among the top-line players in this NBA draft, are willing to go to the Sacramento Kings. Now, it's really not up to them because Sacramento can really make any decision they want, but according to ESPN, most of those top players in the draft are trying their best to avoid the Kings, saying, quote, this is from Zach Lowe and Jonathan Givney, who even wants to go to Sacramento? Because a lot of the top guys in this draft are openly trying to avoid going there. That includes the likes of Jaren Jackson Jr. from Michigan State, Mo Bamba from Texas, Luka Doncic from Real Madrid. Talked about Luka earlier about perhaps going to the Kings. Imagine if that actually happens and he doesn't want to be there. Could be a lot of angry NBA draft prospects come draft night if they go to a team that they don't want to essentially be drafted by. So, like I said, the one person who's actually interested is Duke big man Marvin Bagley III, where he averaged 21 points and 11.1 rebounds per game with the Blue Devils last season. He loved his visit with the team when he worked out with Sacramento earlier this month, and he's just about the only one among those top players who actually likes them. And I guess you could make the argument that he appears to be a lock at number 2 for Sacramento. If Sacramento wants to avoid any locker room drama or bad PR or negative headlines, they should just get Bagley at number 2. Now, you can make the argument that Bagley could go number 1 to the Phoenix Suns. And if the Suns really want to troll the Kings, right, and I guess DeAndre Ayton too, they get Bagley at number 1. But, I mean, I'm just kind of playing hypotheticals at this point. So